The Galactic Union was made up of more than 100 alien species. They ruled most of the known galaxy. Their cities floated in the stars, and their fleets could destroy planets. To them, Earth was nothing, just a small blue planet full of weak creatures called humans. In the Grand Hall of the Union, powerful leaders gathered. Some had sharp claws, others had glowing skin, and some didn't even have bodies, just floating minds. They spoke many languages, but they all agreed on one thing. Humans were a joke. A transmission from Earth played on the big screen. It was the third message in the last month. A calm human voice said, "To the Galactic Union, do not come closer. Leave Earth's space. This is your final warning." After the message ended, the hall was silent for a moment. Then laughter filled the room. One alien leader with long tentacles and red eyes slammed his hand on the table. "This is their final warning. These animals think they can scare us," he shouted. Another leader, one with silver wings, added, "They still use chemical rockets. We have star-bending drives. Let them bark like small animals. We are gods to them." Even the scientific council laughed. They had studied Earth. Humans were emotional, unstable, quick to anger. But their weapons? Weak. Their ships? Slow. Their knowledge? Limited. No one in the room took the warning seriously. But far away at the edge of Union space, something strange had happened. The Union had sent a scout ship to observe Earth. It was a small ship, fast and quiet. But after entering Earth's orbit, it vanished. No signal, no explosion, just gone. The Union blamed a system failure. Ships sometimes broke, so they sent a second scout. This one was bigger, stronger. With better shields and scanners, it entered the same orbit. Then it vanished too. Now, some in the Union started to worry, but most still laughed. Earth must have strong storms, one suggested. Maybe they flew into a volcano, joked another. No one believed that humans could actually fight back. So they sent a third ship, this time with live cameras and full surveillance. Every moment was streamed back to the Union in real time. The ship moved slowly, scanning the skies above Earth. Everything looked normal. Blue oceans, white clouds, green forests. The planet looked peaceful. But then one of the crew members saw something on the radar. "Sir, there's a signal," the officer said. The captain leaned over. "What kind of signal?" "It's repeating. A pattern, like a heartbeat." Before the captain could reply, all lights on the ship turned red. Alarms screamed. The cameras shook. From the shadows of Earth's dark side, something moved. Not a missile, not a laser. A shape. Huge. Silent. Black as space itself. The camera zoomed in, but it was already too late. The video cut to static. Back in the Union's Grand Hall, the feed stopped. The screen turned black. The room, once full of laughter, now sat in silence. Then one last sound played. From the broken video, a single word came through, spoken in a human voice, but low and full of rage. "Run." The voice echoed in the hall. No one moved. No one laughed. One alien scientist, who had studied humans deeply, stood up. His face was pale, his hands shaking. "They warned us," he whispered. "We didn't listen." Outside the Union world, in a distant part of the galaxy, something stirred. On Earth, deep beneath the oceans, a machine powered up. It had slept for years. It had no name, no crew. It was not designed to speak, only to destroy. The Galactic Union was no longer laughing. 3 scout ships were gone. No signal, no explanation, only a strange human voice that said one word: run. In the cold silence of space, the Union prepared a new plan. They would not send scouts this time. They would send a fleet. Admiral Vroth, a giant reptilian with sharp golden armor, was chosen to lead. He commanded 12 warships, each one larger than a city. His ships had destroyed pirate worlds, tamed black holes, and ended rebellions across star systems. Earth would be no different. Humans think they can scare us, he growled to his crew. We will show them what true power is. As the fleet entered Earth's solar system, the stars behind them disappeared, blocked by the size of their ships. Alien cameras recorded everything. Billions of beings across the galaxy watched live. The alien leaders believed this was the final chapter. Earth would be humbled. But Earth stayed quiet. No warnings, no transmissions, just silence. Strange silence. One of the smaller alien ships flew closer to Earth. Its scanners detected large cities, power grids, and even space stations. But something was strange. "Sir," the science officer reported, "there are no defense platforms, no active weapons, no ships in orbit." Vroth leaned forward in his chair. "So they are afraid." "Maybe," the officer said, "but there's energy, a lot of it, underground. It's moving." Before they could understand it, a bright flash lit up the sky. The small alien ship vanished. No explosion, just light, and then gone. The fleet was shocked. No missile had been fired. No laser detected. It was like the ship had been erased. Admiral Vroth stood quickly. Shields up, spread formation. The warships moved apart, ready to fire. But Earth remained still. On the surface of the planet, life went on as usual. Children played in parks. Trains moved through cities. People smiled. But beneath their feet, something was waking up. Deep under Earth's crust, hidden in old bunkers and forgotten labs, the real defense was rising. Not armies, not tanks, but something worse. It was called Project Voidstar. A ship built in silence, in secret, and in anger. It didn't carry humans. It didn't need them. It had no bridge, no crew, only a goal: protect Earth at any cost. The Union had believed Earth was weak. But Earth had watched, listened, prepared. For centuries, humans had heard rumors about the Galactic Union. They saw the signs, the alien visits, the strange signals. So they built one ship, just one. But it was enough. Above Earth, the fleet began scanning deeper. They found strange tunnels underground, huge and complex. It looked like a web beneath the planet. And then their sensors picked up movement. Something was rising. From under the ocean, the Earth's single defense ship emerged. It made no sound, no fire, just shadows and silence. The alien fleet aimed weapons. "Prepare to fire," shouted Vroth. But before a single shot was launched, the ship vanished. Gone from their radar. "Where did it go?" Vroth yelled. "Sir, it's behind us." The Union ships turned. Too late. The Earth ship didn't fire missiles. It didn't use lasers. It simply moved through space, through their shields, like a ghost. And with every pass, one warship went dark. Not destroyed, not broken, just empty. The lights went off. Like signs vanished, and all that remained was silence. Ship after ship. One by one, Vroth's flagship began shaking. From the command deck, he saw it, the human ship. It had no windows, no lights. Just a black surface and a glowing symbol, a single red circle. Vroth felt fear for the first time in his life. "This isn't a ship," he whispered. "It's a weapon." His crew didn't answer, because they were already gone. Back in the Galactic Union's Grand Hall, leaders watched the live stream turn to static. 12 ships, gone. No survivors. No escape pods. Just silence. One alien queen stood and asked in a shaky voice, "What kind of weapon was that?" No one answered. But across all Union channels, a new human message began to play. Soft, calm, but full of cold warning. "You were told. You did not listen. You will not be warned again." The screen cut off. For the first time in galactic history, the Union held no response. And on Earth, in a deep bunker, a human general turned to his team. "It begins now," he said. The galaxy was quiet. The Galactic Union, the most powerful force in known space, was shaken. 12 of their strongest warships had disappeared without a trace. The crew, the weapons, the technology, gone in the blink of an eye. No one knew what had happened. No one could explain it. Back on Earth, however, people were still living their lives. They didn't know the full scale of what had just occurred in the stars above. They didn't know that their planet's future had just changed forever. Yet there was a strange, uneasy feeling in the air. General Marcus Rain sat in a small command room beneath the Earth's surface. The walls were thick, reinforced with metal and stone. The screens in front of him flickered with information. Data from the Galactic Union's destroyed fleet, coming in fast and chaotic. "Sir," said a young officer, her voice trembling. "The Union, they've sent a message." The general leaned forward, his face set in stone. "What's it say?" The officer hesitated for a moment before reading aloud. "They are demanding an explanation. They want us to surrender and dismantle any military forces. They say if we don't comply, they will retaliate." Marcus didn't blink. He had known this moment would come. He had prepared for it his entire life. He was one of the few humans who understood the depths of the Union's power. They thought they were untouchable. "They think we're weak," he said quietly, his voice cold and steady. "They don't understand what we've been doing, what we've been hiding." He looked over at the map on the wall. It wasn't a typical map of Earth. It was a map of Earth's hidden systems, the ones no one knew about. Bunkers, labs, weapons, ships. Humans had kept their plans secret for a reason. They had never expected to fight the Galactic Union, but they were ready. They had been ready for decades. Marcus turned to the officer. "Send them a reply?" "No, make it a statement." The officer nodded quickly, typing on her console. After a few moments, the message appeared on the screen. "To the Galactic Union, you have made a mistake. We do not fear you. The galaxy has never seen the power of humanity. You may have destroyed our scout ships, but you will find that was the least of your worries. You will be shown the price of underestimating us." The general stared at the screen for a moment. It was a message to the stars, to the Union, but it was also a message to Earth. In the Galactic Union's command center, high above the stars, the leaders watched the human response. It was unexpected, but they still believed they held all the power. One leader, an alien with a smooth, metallic face, laughed. "Did they honestly think we would be scared? We have the technology to wipe them off the map with a thought." The others nodded in agreement. It was clear to them that this was just a last, desperate message from a frightened species. However, the one who had first suggested the Union invade Earth, Queen Zara, a tall, elegant creature with violet skin, remained silent. Her mind raced. "I don't think this is a bluff," she said quietly. The others paused. She had been the one to dismiss the human threats in the past, but now something in her tone was different. Zara turned to her fellow leaders. "They're not afraid of us. They think we're just another enemy to be crushed." The leader with the golden eyes growled, "Then we crush them." But Zara wasn't convinced. "I don't think you understand. They're not afraid because they have a weapon we cannot control." The room went still. "What do you mean?" one leader asked. Zara stepped forward, her long fingers tapping the side of her chair. "The human ship, the one that took out our warships. It's not just a ship. It's something more. I believe they've been hiding technology for centuries, technology we've never seen before." The leaders exchanged glances. They had underestimated humanity, but now they were starting to understand that the humans might have been waiting. Zara's eyes narrowed. "We have no choice. We have to strike now, and we must not underestimate them again." Back on Earth, Marcus Rain knew they had only just begun. "Sir, we've detected more ships," the officer reported, her voice tense. The general's eyes narrowed. How many? At least 50. They're moving fast. Marcus stood up, his expression grim. The Union was coming. This wasn't a warning anymore. It was the beginning of a war. We're going to need everything we have. Prepare the defenses, he ordered. And activate the Void Star. It's time to show them why they were wrong. The officer nodded and hurried off. General Rain stood still, staring at the map of Earth's secret systems. This wasn't just about survival anymore. This was about revenge, about showing the galaxy that humanity wasn't weak. They had the power, and now they would make sure the galaxy knew it. The sky above Earth was no longer quiet. The Galactic Union had made their move. 50 warships, massive and deadly, were heading toward Earth. They were a warning, a signal that the time for peace was over. The galaxy's most powerful fleet was coming to wipe out a planet they had once dismissed as weak. They thought they would conquer Earth with ease. But they were wrong. General Marcus Rain stood on the bridge of the Human Defense Command Center, his eyes locked on the screen in front of him. The Union fleet was closing in. His heart beat steadily, each pulse a reminder of what was at stake. "Sir," an officer called from across the room, "we've detected the enemy's ships. They're preparing to fire their first volley." Marcus nodded, his face hard as stone. "Let them fire. We'll show them what happens when they underestimate humanity." His hands gripped the armrests of his chair as he watched the fleet draw closer. The Union's ships were enormous, towering with weapons and armor designed to crush anything in their path. But Earth's defenses weren't what they seemed. For decades, humans had prepared in secret, building technology far beyond what the Union had ever imagined. And now it was time for that technology to make its mark. "Activate Void Star," Marcus ordered, his voice calm but firm. The officer hesitated for a second, then typed the command. The massive weapon hidden beneath the Earth's surface came online. A dark, shadowy ship emerged from its secret bunker, rising silently into the void. Its form was sleek, almost ghostly, as if it had been built to vanish into space itself. The Void Star wasn't like the Union ships. It didn't rely on conventional weapons. It was something else, something new. A weapon designed not to destroy, but to terrify. The Union fleet's first shots hit Earth's defenses, but there was nothing to hit. The Union's lasers, missiles, and bombs passed through empty space. The ships fired again, but their weapons met only shadows. The human defenses didn't just avoid their fire. They disappeared, leaving nothing but a cold void behind. And then the Void Star appeared. With a single movement, it cut through the Union's massive fleet. It didn't fire at them, didn't launch missiles or beam lasers. It simply moved. The Void Star's sleek hull passed through one warship, then another, without a sound. Every ship it touched flickered out of existence, as if they had never been there at all. The Union fleet was in chaos. Their biggest ships, their best commanders, were being erased from the battlefield. No explosions, no screams, just silence. "No, Ruff," the admiral of the Union fleet shouted as his ship began to flicker. "We were warned. We were warned." But it was too late. On the bridge of the Void Star, Captain Elara stood calmly, watching the chaos unfold on her screens. Her expression never changed, even as the Union's ships were swept from existence. "Void Star is holding steady, Captain," a crew member reported. "We've neutralized 12 ships. The fleet is in disarray." Elara nodded. "Keep the pressure on. We don't stop until they understand what they've done." As she spoke, another wave of Union ships tried to regroup. They were smaller, faster, and better coordinated than their previous assault force. But it didn't matter. The Void Star was not just a ship. It was a living nightmare for them. The Void Star moved again, its movements silent, its shadows deadly. The Union ships tried to retaliate, firing their remaining weapons in desperation. But the Void Star was gone before they could even get a lock. One by one, the ships of the Union disappeared, their crews wiped from existence. Vroth's flagship, the Tyrannos, was one of the last to stand. It tried to flee, but its engines couldn't outrun the Void Star. It too was erased, just like the rest. Back on Earth, the citizens were unaware of the true scope of what had just happened. Life went on in the cities, in the fields, and on the streets. But above them, in the stars, humanity had just made their mark on the galaxy. General Marcus Rain watched the screens, his eyes narrowing. "It's over," he said quietly. But then a new message appeared on the screen. A signal from the Galactic Union. The words were clear, but filled with fear. "We have lost. We surrender." Marcus felt a cold rush of satisfaction, but he remained still, not letting his emotions show. He knew this was only the beginning. The Union may have been defeated, but they would not forget this humiliation. They would regroup. They would try again. And when they did, humanity would be ready. In the depths of the Galactic Union's command center, the leaders sat in stunned silence. They had believed their power was unmatched. They had believed nothing could stand against them. But Earth had proved them wrong. Queen Zara, the leader who had once dismissed Earth's warnings, now stood by the window staring out at the stars. Her mind raced. "What have we done?" she whispered. But even as she spoke, she knew the answer. They had awakened something in humanity that the galaxy had never seen before. And now they would have to face the consequences. The stars were quiet, but the silence wasn't peaceful. The Galactic Union's fleet had been shattered, their most powerful ships reduced to nothing but echoes in the void. Yet far from the stars, deep within the heart of their empire, the leaders of the Union were already planning their retaliation. They could not, would not, accept defeat at the hands of a species they had long considered beneath them. And the humans. They thought the battle was won. But Marcus Rain knew better. Back on Earth, General Marcus stood in a darkened room. The lights were dim, and the only sound was the faint hum of machinery. His fingers drummed slowly on the cold surface of the table as he looked over the latest reports. "Sir," a voice cut through the silence, "we've received a transmission from the Galactic Union." Marcus turned slowly. The officer stood at attention, waiting for him to speak. He didn't say anything at first. He just stared at the screen, watching the message take form. The transmission came through, and the voice of Queen Zara, the leader of the Union, filled the room. Her tone was cold, but there was an unmistakable tremor in it. "We underestimated you, humans. You have earned your victory for now. But know this, you will not be left in peace. The full might of the Union will come for you, and this time you will not be so fortunate." The message ended with a sharp click, and the screen went black. Marcus leaned forward, his expression hardening. They've already begun to regroup. The fight isn't over, not by a long shot. In the Galactic Union's command center, Queen Zara stood before the council. Her once proud posture was now strained, her eyes dark with determination. "You heard the message," Zara said, her voice low but filled with command. "We cannot allow this. The humans have humiliated us, but we will show them what true power is." One of the council members, a massive being with scales like an ancient beast, stepped forward. "How can we defeat them, Zara? Their weapons are beyond our understanding. We lost dozens of ships with no warning." Zara's gaze was piercing. "We will not fight them directly. That would be foolish. But there are other ways to crush them. There are other weapons we can use." Her hand slammed down on the table. "We have forgotten the greatest advantage we possess. We can divide them. We can turn their own allies against them. We can tear apart their unity, piece by piece. They are still too new to the galaxy. They don't have the alliances we do. We'll find their weaknesses and use them against them." The room fell silent, but only for a moment. Slowly, the council members nodded in agreement. They knew what needed to be done. Back on Earth, General Rain watched as the first reports of the Union's plans came in. His hands clenched into fists as he read the intel. The Union wasn't just going to fight. They were going to try to destroy Earth from within. "They want to divide us," Marcus muttered. "They want to tear us apart." But Marcus wasn't afraid. He had always known this was coming. The Union would never rest until they had crushed humanity completely. "Prepare our allies," he ordered, his voice firm. "We don't fight this battle alone." He turned to a group of military officers standing nearby. "Activate all the defensive measures. Send out a signal to our fleets. Tell them to be ready for the worst. The Union will come at us with everything they have. But we'll be ready." Meanwhile, in the deepest corners of space, the Union was already putting their plans into motion. The first step in their strategy was simple: infiltration. They began sending agents to Earth's allies, offering them promises of power and technology. It was a tempting offer for many, and it wasn't long before the whispers started. Some of Earth's closest allies began to grow distant, questioning their ties to humanity. One by one, those allies began to pull away from the humans. They started to doubt. They started to fear. The Union's strategy of division was working, and Marcus could see the cracks beginning to form. "We're losing them," an officer said, panic creeping into his voice. "Our allies, they're pulling back." Marcus stood tall, unwavering. "No, this isn't over. We're not backing down." The next few weeks were tense. Diplomatic messages flew back and forth. Some alliances held strong, but others faltered. The pressure was mounting, and Marcus could feel it in every meeting, every decision, every glance exchanged between military leaders. But then something changed. A signal came through from one of Earth's oldest allies, a species that had stood with humanity through thick and thin. The message was brief, but it was clear. "We've been offered a deal. We've been promised weapons, technology, everything we've ever dreamed of. But we stand by you. The Union's offer isn't worth our loyalty to you." The message was signed with the emblem of the Harnack species, known for their deep honor and strength. Marcus's eyes lit up. This was the breakthrough they needed. One by one, more allies came forward, reaffirming their commitment to humanity. They had done it. The Union's strategy had failed. Humanity had proven that their bonds were stronger than any threat. The battle was far from over. The Union would not give up easily. But now, humanity had an army behind them, and they were united. The stars themselves would feel the strength of humanity's resolve. General Marcus Raine stood tall as the final reports came in. The Union was preparing for another assault, but this time the human forces were ready. Humanity would not fall. They would fight together, and they would win. The stars were alive with tension. The Galactic Union had made its final move, unleashing its full power upon humanity. Their fleet, bigger and more dangerous than before, was heading directly for Earth. They were coming to crush humanity once and for all. But Marcus Raine had never been more certain of his mission. On Earth, the world held its breath. News spread like wildfire that the Union was coming. Every country, every ally was preparing. Humanity knew this was the moment, the final test, and they were ready. General Marcus Raine stood in the command center, watching the massive holographic map in front of him. It displayed the enemy fleet, now a terrifying wave of hundreds of ships, all heading toward Earth. It was too many, far more than humanity had ever faced before. "Sir," an officer said, his voice tight with fear, "the Union is just hours away. Their fleet is enormous. Do you really think we can stop them?" Marcus didn't flinch. His eyes remained fixed on the screen. "We don't have a choice. We'll stop them because we have no other option." He turned to his officers, the faces of those who had fought beside him, who had seen the horrors of the past battles. "This is the final stand, but we are not alone. Our allies, the ones who stayed with us, are ready. We are ready. We will end this." In the vastness of space, the Union's fleet surged forward. Their warships, each one a massive testament to their power, moved as a single, unstoppable force. At the head of the fleet was the Dominion, the flyship of the Union's Emperor, Admiral Vroth. He stared out at the stars, rage burning in his eyes. His fleet had been humiliated. His people had been broken. Now it was time for retribution. He turned to his officers. "Prepare for the final assault. This time, we end humanity's defiance. We will crush them with everything we have. As the Union approached, Marcus gathered his commanders in the war room, a place where decisions would shape the fate of the galaxy. The room was filled with the best minds humanity had to offer, each one dedicated to the cause. "We know their tactics," Marcus said, his voice low but commanding. "They think they can break us, but we've shown them before that we will not bend. We will stand firm." A map of space flickered onto the screen in front of them, showing Earth's defenses and the Union's path. "We have one chance at this," Marcus continued. "We've gathered all our allies, and we have the weapons. But we need to strike fast. If we don't catch them off guard, this could be the end." One of the officers, Commander Lyra, stepped forward. "Sir, I suggest we use our new weapon, the one we've been testing in secret. It could turn the tide in our favor." Marcus nodded, his eyes narrowing with thought. "Yes, the Chrono Blade. We deploy it at the heart of the Union fleet. It won't destroy them, but it will disorient them. It will give us the opening we need." The battle began. The Union's fleet appeared on the edges of Earth's orbit, their massive warships blotting out the stars. Every soldier on Earth knew what was coming, and they stood ready. The first wave of Union ships fired, sending waves of energy crashing toward Earth. But humanity was prepared. Earth's defenses activated, firing back with everything they had. Lasers, missiles, and shields clashed with the Union's assault, creating an explosion of light and energy that lit up the skies. The ground shook as the battle raged on, but humanity's forces were holding their ground. They fought fiercely, united under the leadership of General Marcus Rain. And then, at the heart of the chaos, the Chrono Blade was deployed. The Chrono Blade was not a weapon of destruction. It was a weapon of time itself. It created a ripple in the fabric of reality, distorting space and time. When activated, the enemy fleet found themselves trapped in an unrelenting loop. Ships blinked in and out of existence, unable to maintain their positions, as the Chrono Blade twisted their reality. At first, the Union's fleet panicked. Ships were disintegrating, disappearing only to reappear in different positions, out of control. The Union commanders, caught in the disarray, struggled to issue orders. "This is impossible." Admiral Vroth screamed from his command center as his fleet was torn apart by the Chrono Blade's influence. Before he could finish, another wave of human ships arrived, overwhelming the disoriented fleet. Humanity had taken its shot, and now they were delivering the final blow. Vroth's flagship, the Dominion, was caught in the chaos. The once proud ship, now twisted by the effects of the Chrono Blade, was losing control. The Union's best officers were helpless, their weapons useless against the time-warping effect. Marcus watched as the Union flagship faltered on the screen. "This is it. We finished them now." The last of the Union's fleet was falling apart. Humanity's forces, boosted by their allies, surged forward. It was a fight of desperation, of pride, but most of all, it was a fight for survival. The Union had pushed humanity to the brink, but now it was humanity's turn to show its strength. With one final push, the Dominion was disabled, and the Union fleet was broken. There was nothing left but silence. On Earth, the battle was over. The Galactic Union had been defeated. The war was won. Marcus Rain stood in the command center, watching the quiet after the storm. The faces of his soldiers, his allies, were filled with exhaustion. But there was pride in their eyes. "We did it," one of the officers said, disbelief in their voice. Marcus nodded, his face solemn. "We did. But this is just the beginning. The galaxy will change, and we'll be ready for whatever comes next." As the stars above Earth twinkled in the silence, the humans knew one thing for sure. They had earned their place among the stars. The Union had tried to crush them. They had underestimated humanity. And now the galaxy would remember the name of the species that dared to challenge the greatest empire the universe had ever known. Humanity. The stars shone brighter than ever. The war was over, but the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had faced the impossible, and not only had they survived, they had emerged victorious. General Marcus Rain stood in the heart of the newly formed United Earth Command. The room was filled with officers, commanders, and diplomats from all across the galaxy. The walls were adorned with holographic maps of the stars, and the air buzzed with a quiet energy, the energy of change. The sound of footsteps echoed, and Marcus turned to see one of his old allies, Commander Lyra, approach him. She gave him a brief nod before speaking. "General, the last of the Union's fleet has surrendered. Their empire is falling apart." Marcus nodded, a weight lifting from his shoulders. "We knew it was coming." The Union's strength was built on fear, on domination. Once that cracked, it all came tumbling down. Lyra's face softened. "And now we rebuild, together." The two of them walked towards the map, where diplomats from various species were discussing terms of peace. The Harnack, the Corman, and several other species, once distant, once afraid, were now humanity's partners. The galaxy was beginning to look very different. It wasn't just the humans standing together now. It was a united front of species, fighting for a future they could all share. Across the galaxy, there were celebrations. On Earth, people poured into the streets, their voices rising in cheers and psalms. For the first time in generations, they were at peace. The fear of the Union was gone, and the humans, once seen as a small, insignificant species, were now recognized as the guardians of the galaxy. But Marcus knew the truth. Peace, while sweet, was fragile. "We've done the impossible," he said to Lyra as they stood together, watching the holographic display of Earth's future. "But the galaxy is a complicated place. There will always be challenges." Lyra smiled. "But now we face them together. We've formed something stronger than the Union ever was. We've built something better." Marcus looked at the stars, his mind racing. He could see the future unfolding before him. But it wasn't just about Earth. It wasn't just about victory. It was about unity. Humanity had proven that they could stand up to the greatest power in the galaxy. But it was not just the battle that mattered. It was what came after. As the leaders gathered to sign that historic peace treaty, Marcus found himself standing before the others. The Harnack representative, a massive ancient being named Joreth, extended a hand toward him. "We stand with you, Marcus Rain. Humanity has earned its place among the stars." Marcus took the hand, a firm shake of mutual respect. "This is only the beginning. Together, we will shape the future. Together, we will ensure that this never happens again." The room erupted in applause. The galaxy's fate was no longer in the hands of the Union. It was in the hands of all the species that had united in the face of destruction. And humanity would be at the forefront of this new era. Back on Earth, Marcus stood on the edge of a balcony, looking out over the city. The streets were alive with celebration, but his mind was elsewhere, on the future, on the challenges ahead. There was still so much to do. But for the first time in a long while, he felt a sense of peace. "Marcus," Lyra's voice broke through his thoughts. "The people are waiting for you. They want to hear from the one who led them to victory." Marcus turned to face her. "Let them hear it from everyone," he said, smiling. "This victory isn't mine. It's ours." The two of them made their way to the stage, where the people of Earth and their allies were gathered. Marcus stepped up to the podium, looking out at the faces of countless species. His voice echoed as he spoke. "We have faced the impossible, but we stand here today not as conquerors, but as equals. Together, we have forged a new path. The Union is no more, and the galaxy will never be the same. The fear they once spread is gone. Now there is only hope." The crowd erupted in cheers, and Marcus felt a weight lift from his chest. This was it. This was the moment humanity had been fighting for. Far away, in the remnants of the Union's once mighty empire, there were whispers of rebellion, of new leaders rising to challenge the peace. But Marcus Rain knew that the true test was not in battle. It was in the strength to stay united. As long as the stars burned above them, humanity and its allies would stand together. No matter the challenge, no matter the enemy. They had shown the galaxy what humans were capable of. They had earned their place. And in that moment, Marcus knew the fight for peace was just beginning. The future was unknown, but as long as they stood united, as long as they fought together, there was nothing the galaxy could throw at them that they couldn't face. Humanity had risen. And now, they would shake the galaxy as they saw fit. With that, your story reaches its conclusion. The battle for survival is over, but the future of humanity is only beginning. The stars are wide open, and humanity's place among them is secure. Let me know if you need anything more or if you'd like to adjust any part of the story.